Hi, this is Mike with TFP TV, and here are 7 things you may or may not know about this famous revolver here. Number 1, what is it? Well, it's a Russian Model 1895 Nagant revolver, Belgian design, so if we're being really picky on pronunciation, it should be a Nagant. Adopted in 1895 by the Imperial Russians, initially single action only for other ranks and double action for officers, ultimately double action for everybody. About 2 million of them were made between 1895 and 1945, and they stayed in service until much later in Russia and in Soviet satellite states. Now, it's a 7-shooter, it's a gate loader, sideways swinging out gate that actually handily blocks the trigger to remind you if it's still open. Bit of a pain to load, drop them in the side, turn it manually, no ABD system. Sorry, Thiasen May. And to unload it, it's not quick at all. Rotate the rod, pull it up, twist it round, and then one at a time. Fold it back, put it away, twist it again. This is not for speed shooting. Number 2, so what's special about it? Well, it's a so-called gas seal revolver. This is very unusual. There's basically these and the Model 1893 Pieper revolver, which is also a Belgian design, adopted by Mexico, and that's about it, but had a swing-out cylinder, which is far better than this gate loading nonsense. So the deal with a conventional revolver is that you've got a gap between the back of the barrel and the front of the cylinder there that lets a certain amount of flash and powder gas out when you fire it. Now, it might be nice to make some sort of seal in there so that didn't happen, there'd be no more side flash, and I guess we could squeeze a few extra feet per second out of it. It's the sort of thing that sounds good to people who sit behind desks and make decisions on paper. Number 3, so how does this gas seal thingy work? Well, actually the trick's in the cartridge. This crazy funky thingy here. This cartridge is actually longer than the cylinder it goes into, and the bullet is fully recessed inside the mouth of the case. And it's flat-nosed, and the front of the case is massively coned over so that the mouth of the case is narrower. Now, when you fire it, either by double action or single action, the cylinder goes forward, the mouth of this case goes into the back of the barrel, and when it's fired, that's pushed out, makes a gas seal, bullet goes down, no side flash at all. It's really mechanically funky. However, because the mouth of that case is expanded into something that's actually outside of the front of the cylinder, it's a real pain to unload. Some of them stick quite nastily, so it's possibly one of the slowest gate loaders to reload. So the mechanics to do all of this is kind of funky. Now, the cylinder has to be pushed forward, but it has to also come back, so there's a really great spring inside there around the axis, and when you cock it either with the trigger or by pulling back the hammer, the whole thing goes forward. Now, most of this is pushed forward by the hand acting on the back of the ratchet on the back of the cylinder, but there's also a little nub on the trigger that comes up and just helps it forward. And because the cylinder's gone forward, the back of the case is unsupported, or would be, so there's a ruddy grey locking breech block that protrudes out of the breech face when it's cocked, and that supports the back of the cartridge, keeps it fully in the chamber, and yeah, and there's a wedge locking block that goes up behind it. So this is a locked breech revolver, effectively. Now, I'm sure that given the whole idea of gas sealing to get a bit more velocity, it must be stonking along. Well, actually, it's not. 108 grains doing 750 feet per second, which is about 2/3 of the speed of sound, which we'll get onto again in a minute. Number 4, what's the result of all this? Nasty trigger pull. Really nasty trigger pull. It's just what can I say? All this complexity, all these bits moving forwards and backwards and up and down inside there, it all adds up to a trigger that is not exactly easy to operate. And just to make things a bit more complicated, the gate there actually cooperates with little notches on the back of the cylinder and everything. So there's just like everywhere that could possibly be introducing drag into the system is introducing drag into the system, plus the springs are pretty heavy. But on the other hand, the inherent accuracy is actually kind of good. It surprised me how good it is, but the problem is that you can't bring it out. Even the single action pull is heavy, although there are little tricks where you can put a little spacer in there that smooths that out a little bit. And to top it off, they're often pretty badly sighted. This one shoots about a foot high at 25 metres. I happened to be on the range yesterday and there was someone else who had one and his shot about 10 inches low at 25 metres, even though in principle they're supposed to be held to a fairly strict sighting in standard, but Soviet quality control. Number 5, ammo availability. Well, Privy Partisan load the real deal, which is nice. If you're in the States, you can probably get hold of surplus ammo. And if you can't, it will actually shoot 32 Smith & Wesson long quite happily. And in fact, yesterday I had it out with 32 Smith & Wesson long wad cutter from Gecko, and it shot fine, despite the massive, enormous flash gap. About the worst that can happen is you might get a bit of lead build-up around there, because it's not designed with a conventional forcing cone, because it's designed to have this mechanical seal from the mouth of the case. Mine shoots to the same ridiculous point of aim with either 32 Smith & Wesson long or the real deal from Privy, and it's actually surprisingly accurate with both. There's no real difference there. And talking of ammo, actually, I ended up buying this. I always wanted one because A, they're cheap, which is always nice. Cheap guns are fun. B, they're quirky. I'm into old quirky guns. Now, James might say that I'm into old crap guns, and he'd be right, particularly in this case. But it's actually, I bought a load of this thinking, oh, it's perfect for converting to 7.5 Swiss ordnance revolver. And then I thought long and hard about how I was going to defeat that crimp on the front of the cases there. And I was thinking, oh, I'll Dremel them off or something. And I thought, hang on, I'll just apply for another acquisition permit and I'll get one of these and I'll explosively disassemble them and have some fun in them at the same time. So I did. Number 7, can you suppress it? Well, it seems logical, doesn't it? I mean, you've got no side flash because it seals, and the bullet's only running 750 feet per second, which is well below the speed of sound. So, yeah, you can. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't have permission to put up videos of any of them, but if you type suppressed Nagant revolver into YouTube, you will find happiness. So there you go, another crappy Euro pistol on TFB TV. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to TFB TV. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. And many, many thanks go out to our sponsors, Ventura Munitions, who help to make this kind of content possible. Bye.